Hello and welcome to Odds on Champions League match day 4. Great games ahead in this Wednesday. Inter Milan, Arsenal, PSG, Atlético de Madrid, for instance, and we have a great lineup. Alain Valnegri, hello. Alvaro Romeo, hello. I hope, guys, you are ready to analyze these good games. Again, in this video, we are going to analyze the games we have on Wednesday, so stay tuned and of course press the like, subscribe. Now let's go on with the show. And we have two early kickoffs on Wednesday. First one is Brugge, Aston Villa, and surprisingly Aston Villa are the top of this long table in the Champions League, and we have great odds if we want to back them to 0.1 for Unai Emery's men that lost at the weekend 4-1 against Tottenham. 3 winless games, by the way, for them, and Brugge only 3 points with the win in grass. But truth to be told, Alain, they were competitive and they created many chances against Milan and against Dortmund.
Yes. I think the two defeat against Milan and Dortmund show a lot of things about Bruges. In offensive phase, is a team can score against every team in this champions. After without the ball, is a team concede, and that one is the limit of Bruges in Europe. In Belgium is the best team in the last 10 years. This season they have some problem, especially without the ball, and that one means the second position in the table. But when we see especially in the line of the offensive midfielder with Zolis, Scovolz, and Van Aken, that player can, in my opinion, make the first goal against Aston Villa. Aston Villa don't concede goal again in this champions. Aston Villa in the last 2 games, two defeats, is the worst streak from the beginning of the season for Emery. Is not so easy to go in Belgium, and for that reason, I think is a game with a both team to score. Both team to score, odds 1.67.
Really surprising, this Aston Villa. Alvaro, another option perhaps is also Aston Villa to win, as plain as simple as this. 2.1, probably they are overperforming in this Champions League, but 6 goals, no goals conceded, and they are favorites, but still the odds are good.
Yeah, they are good, but the run of Aston Villa lately, in the last 5 days, is not too good, so I'm going to handicap them a little bit with an Asian handicap minus 0.25, meaning that if they draw, you only suffer half a lose, and if they win, you win, and you will win 185, and I like it like this. Yes, Aston Villa is the leader of the competition, but yesterday they collapsed against Tottenham, conceding 4 goals in the second half. I think that Pau Torres showed that he is not only a soft defender, but in my opinion, he's not that good with the ball on his feet, and sometimes he's got problems to play the ball from the back. Sometimes he doesn't, but sometimes he does. He's not very reliable, and every time I see him play for Spain, I shiver. Aston Villa in the Champions League are good, yes, they haven't conceded a goal yet. So therefore I feel bad saying that they have problems, but they have a few issues here and there. In my opinion, they don't have still a referential midfielder to play the ball from the back, as Parejo did for Villarreal when he played for Emery, for example. But a trip to Bruges is not necessarily a pleasure trip. And Bruges have 3 points. They've got good players like Van Aken or Cholis who can change the game anytime, and Bruges, let's don't forget, they have played 2 games away, and yet they've got 3 points. Now they have to play against Villa, Sporting, and Celtic, and I think that the chances are there for Bruges to capitalize. So, since it is mandatory to get around 7 more points for Bruges to qualify, maybe there is a chance here to get a draw. That's why I'm going to move myself in between 2 waters, a draw for Bruges or a win for Aston Villa. So I'm going to go for an Asian handicap minus 0.25 for Unai Emery's men.
And at the same time, we have Shakhtar, Young Boys, two of the worst teams in this Champions League. Actually, none of them had scored yet a goal. Young Boys, even with a lot of problems in the local league, still 10th. Lost all 3 games, as I said, without scoring in this Champions League. Shakhtar got a point in the first game and then lost to Arsenal and Atalanta. Alvaro, remember this game to be played in 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲. What is your take? Young Boys are very poor. That's poorer than Shakhtar even.
That's my take, basically. That the Young Boys are so poor that I cannot really back them. I remember they're losing against Barcelona really badly. And I think that they are one of the poorest sides in the Champions League. In fact, statistically, they are the second worst, only behind the Slovan Bratislava. When it comes to Shakhtar Donetsk, look, the draw they got in the first game, in my opinion, was kind of impressive, really. Drawing against Bologna, 0-0 in that game. At times they were competitive, I would say. Then they lost to Atalanta, and they lost to Arsenal, being competitive against Arsenal. Arsenal only beat them 1-0. So I think that Shakhtar, despite their issues, despite the fact that they are playing they are playing in a neutral venue, a home game, Shakhtar is for me the favorite, because Young Boys right now, they are not even dominant in their own local league. So I'm gonna back Shakhtar again with an Asian handicap minus 0.25, because I always have my reluctances to back a team like Shakhtar or a team like, let's put it like this, Feyenoord or PSV Eindhoven, teams like that, even if they play at home, if I see that the Asian handicap minus 0.25 is convincing enough and the money is good enough, I'm more inclined to go for it, because it gives me a safety net. So I'm going to back Shakhtar with an Asian handicap minus 0.25, 174.
And we have to remind our listeners, of course, that Shakhtar, there is no home for Shakhtar right now. Alain, also for you, it's impossible to trust Young Boys?
It's difficult. It's difficult to trot about this team. Is the dominant team in Switzerland, clearly, but the beginning of the season was really poor. The worst in the last 20 years for Young Boys. They've changed the manager. Now is 𝐬𝐿 the manager. We saw some improvement, but not a totally improvement. I think the potential about the squad is better than the result. We saw that the last weekend with the draw against Zurich. They're fighting to take the first position to play the playoff, and that one was not the objective about the team. Now stay in Champions League is a bonus for Young Boys, in spite of the bad results. For the financial part is really important, and to value some player like 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐻 is doing really well. Montero have a big potential. In spite of that, I see in collective analysis and individual analysis, Shakhtar with something more. In my opinion, the odds are so interesting because, in my opinion, the balance between both teams is clearly in favor for Shakhtar. Odds 2.10 for Shakhtar winning.
Indeed, really good odds to back both Aston Villa and Shakhtar in the early kickoffs. Difficult or lower odds to back Bayern Munich in the next game against Benfica. We left Bayern Munich in the Champions League with a heavy defeat in Barcelona. Perhaps not that fair, let's say, because they had many chances in the first half, but they bounced back, and what a way to bounce back. Alain, 5 to Bochum, 4 to Mainz, 3 to Union Berlin, and next one is Benfica, that they were pitiful. It was a disaster, the game against Feyenoord.
Yes, but they won 4-0 against Atlético Madrid. And now, who is this Bayern? The question is, who is this Bayern? From the beginning of the season, I see a team against a team with less technical value, really dominant. And we saw again the offensive powder of Bayern against weakest team than Bayern. When they meet team with similar similar value. I see Company not so mature, and he missed something in my opinion. Now with this Hurricane, it's difficult to don't predict a victory of Bayern. Normally, Bayern, when they play at home, they start really strong. They put a lot of pressure about the rival defense. Benfica is not they don't have the habit to defend and play without the ball, because in Portugal is dominant play with the ball. Is top three with the possession of the ball. When do you quit the ball to Benfica? And Feyenoord do very well that, I think, in 𝐷𝗏𝗏. How is Benfica? And I think we will be show some limit about Benfica, the verticality of the Bayern and the first half. For that, I choose over 1.25 goals in the first half, odds 1.63.
Well, Alvaro, last 4 games between these two teams: Bayern 5, Benfica 2, Benfica 0, Bayern 4, Bayern 5, Benfica 1, Benfica 0, Bayern 2. So, poor Benfica supporters.
Yeah, well, numbers don't lie. The last time they played against each other was in November 2021. Bayern and Benfica have changed a little bit since then, but you are absolutely right. I mean, in fact, Bayern has had 12 encounters with Benfica, and Bayern has never lost. 9 wins for Bayern, 3 draws. And we are talking about the 38th-time Portuguese winner. So you can really tell that this is a statistical oddity in a way. Bayern has been able to navigate very well the games against Benfica, and I think at this time it's not going to be a big difference, even though the odds are maybe too low. I think that Benfica may have, is a better side than the odds will suggest. But anyway, Bayern are not flying. I still don't know whether Bayern is going to be a very good team or not. I have the feeling that they may not, because I'm not too sure about Vincent Kompany and his coaching. But, they are getting many good results, mixing them with a few more disappointing results. The defeat against Barcelona is very deceptive. Bayern in the first 20 minutes at Barcelona were superlative, and then Bayern weren't good against Aston Villa. But, so far, it's all right for Bayern. They've got a margin to correct bad start in the Champions League. One player that I'm not too sure about is 𝐬𝗵𝗵. They spend a lot of time and money and effort to bring the former footballer from Fulham to Bayern. And in my opinion, 𝗵𝗵 doesn't play football very well. He's a good tackle maker, shot stopper, like a shot blocker. He's a footballer that has a presence in midfield, but in my opinion, Bayern in midfield should have a better footballer. In fact, I don't think that 𝗵𝗵 is any better than prime Leon Goretzka. But anyway, that's something for Vincent Kompany to solve. I think that Benfica can be dangerous. We saw Di Maria last week scoring a beautiful volley. We have seen 𝐻𝐿𝐴 scoring 3 goals already in the Champions League, which is fine. But, I trust Bayern, and I'm going to stick to the individual market and mix it with the full-time result. Why? Because Harry Kane is a top scorer of the Champions League with 5 goals in 3 games, and he has scored 5 goals only with 9 shots on target, which is a very good turnover. So I'm going to go for Bayern to win and Kane to score in the game. That pays 204.
Well, Kane is scoring, but everyone at Bayern is scoring goals. Kompany's men scoring plenty of goals. Let's see if they keep the streak against Benfica. Next game is Feyenoord Salzburg. Salzburg, one of the worst teams also in this Champions League. 9 goals conceded. Another team without scoring, and even the schedule was easy for the Austrian team. Dinamo Zagreb, Brest, and Sparta Prague. It should be more difficult to go to Rotterdam, Alvaro, and get points for Salzburg.
Should be difficult, yeah. But I think that Feyenoord is not the big side that will negotiate this game with the ease that the likes of Bayern or Real Madrid or City or Barcelona will do. I don't think so. Or Liverpool. I don't think so. That's why, as much as I am totally aware that Feyenoord has already 6 points in this Champions League, which is good. 2 wins, one defeat only. And as far as I am totally aware that Salzburg has been appalling with a -9 goal difference, by the way. I'm going to back Salzburg, or maybe I will rephrase that. I'm going to not pity Salzburg that much with an Asian handicap plus 1.25 for them, which pays 168. So I think that Feyenoord, yes, they can win this game, despite not having Santiago Jimenez, who is still out, but the team has learned to play without him. But Feyenoord is fourth in the Eredivisie. They are not that good right now. They are 8 points away from an uncatchable PSV Eindhoven. But I think that Feyenoord can be the favorite. Yes, I will agree with that. But perhaps the bookmakers are giving us a little bit of a chance to make money, handicapping Salzburg with a positive one. So Asian handicap plus 1.5 for Salzburg will be 1.25 for Salzburg will be my bet, meaning that if Salzburg wins, you win. If they draw, you win. And if they lose by 1 goal, you get half a win. It's not that bad at the end of the day. It's Feyenoord we're talking about here. We're not talking about Real Madrid or Bayern. Asian handicap plus 1.25 for Salzburg.
Well, Feyenoord were so entertaining, Alain, against Girona and also against Benfica. We could have seen so many goals in both games. We saw plenty of goals, but even more.
Yes, what is the limit about this Feyenoord? I think one of the limit for this game is the injured player, because Santi Jimenez, like said Alvaro, we have Milambo with 2 goals in 𝐬𝐿𝐴. He's not able to play. Stanks still injured. 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲, the Japanese forward, is not able. Now Feyenoord is a team with a continuity, with the model of play after slot in the bench. We have 𝗵𝗵𝗀 with the same idea of the football. They give continuity about the project. Who doesn't have continuity is Salzburg. Is probably the worst Salzburg since Salzburg arrived to the phase of group in Champions. Is the worst Salzburg. We saw that in the same Bundesliga, Österreich Bundesliga. We saw a Salzburg really far to the best team now. Now the best team is Sturm Graz in Austria. Rapid Wien and Austria Wien are better than Salzburg. Is a young team this year that there must to build another small dynasty, because Salzburg is really able to build that. For that, in spite of the injured player in Feyenoord, I think it will be not enough to catch point. Feyenoord winning, odds 1.61.
Okay, you both chose similar odds, and if Feyenoord wins by 1 goal margin, actually, you will be right. One of the best games we have is Inter Arsenal. Inter still to concede a goal in this Champions League, 7 points. And remember that they traveled to the Etihad and they didn't concede. They suffered to beat Venezia with a controversial goal disallowed in the last minute. Many chances also missed by Inter players. But Arsenal arrives, Alain, in the worst moment perhaps in the last 2 years after the defeat against Newcastle, against Bournemouth, also the draw with Liverpool in the Premier League, in the Champions. Also, no goals conceded for them. So perhaps we see a very tactical, cagey game.
Yes, because Inter in the last 5 games, they're 1-3, 1-0. And Arsenal, the problem of Arsenal, I think, is away now, because the last 4 games, except the Carabao Cup, that don't catch a victory. They're losing Bournemouth, they're losing Newcastle, draw in City, but in my opinion, it was a good draw in City, and the draw against Atalanta. Inter is the key of Inter is Çalhanoğlu in the field or not, especially in Champions. And normally Çalhanoğlu will be play this game. Inter at home is difficult to catch point in San Siro against Inter, but in the last weeks we don't saw the best version of Inter. In my opinion, Inter depend of the grade of motivation of the team. When the team is really motivated, and we saw that in Etihad this season, Inter can be compete with every team in Champions. And right now, today is the only team in Serie A can be played against the biggest team in Europe. Inter arrive better. They're played at home. I choose a risky odds. Inter winning odds 2.65.
Okay, what is going on with Arsenal, Alvaro?
Well, where to start from? Number one, last season Arsenal was more setback proof, let's put it that way. Every water that fell on them, they seem to be ready to take it or to just be waterproof. This season, whatever is happening to them is like a big drama. Whatever is happening to them becomes a massive setback, and they are finding it very difficult to come back from setbacks to survive goals against, things like this. It's like Arsenal has become more fragile. And some days it's the referee, as Arsenal fans think. Some other days it's a send-off, like it happened with Declan Rice being sent off for a double yellow against Brighton, William Saliba being sent off with a straight red card against Bournemouth. I mean, there is always a reason. But maybe the reason is more profound than the referees or stadium or being reduced to 10 men. Because, the other day, in the weekend against Newcastle, as far as I know, Arsenal had a good team available. Mikel Arteta, I think that he was good with the substitutions as well. But they are missing a lot, and probably Alain will agree with this, Martin Odegaard. It's funny how, with Martin Odegaard in the team, Arsenal defended better. Instead of Martin Odegaard, now they are playing with Thomas Partey, Declan Rice, and Mikel Merino. And the three of them have a very good defensive profile, I would say. And yet Arsenal defends better when Martin Odegaard is on the pitch, because you give him the ball and he keeps it. And then he's the biggest creative outlet of the team. And, I think that the team is paying from not having Martin Odegaard, who, by the way, picked an injury playing for Norway. And I don't think that Mikel Arteta is going to be daring enough, maybe because he's not the time yet, to play Ethan Nwaneri at San Siro, a youngster who scored a beautiful goal in the Carabao Cup the other day, and a footballer that I believe that he may have a good future at Arsenal. But Arsenal again, any setback that happens to them is like a catastrophe, and this didn't happen last season. Whereas Inter, look, like Arsenal, they have 3 clean sheets in the Champions League, and they are playing at home. And I think that at home this season they have suffered only, or this year, sorry, they have suffered only one defeat. It was against Milan. It was 2 months ago, fine, in the Derby de la Madonnina. But I trust Inter a lot. I think that Inter is a very good team. And I do believe that there is no reason for me to believe that Inter cannot get something positive from this game. So I'm going to back them with a draw no bet for Inter. I think that, we may be moving in those parameters here. Draw no bet for Inter, 191.
Okay, great game, and you both are backing Inter somehow in this Inter-Arsenal. And another great game is PSG Atlético de Madrid, and both are in a bad situation, I would say, in the Champions League. PSG with 4 points. We didn't expect them to drop points against PSV, and Atlético de Madrid 3 points, really ugly defeat in Duluth, and also against Lille. They were unlucky, that penalty that only the referee saw. Sorloth missing so many chances, and it's an important game, Alvaro, for both teams. How do you see this PSG super favorite, 1.8 against Atletico, 5 to win?
Yeah, I know. I mean, some people may be very tempted to back Atletico somehow. I mean, I wouldn't blame them. But I believe that Paris Saint-Germain is the favorite here, because Atletico de Madrid away from home has been a little bit of a disaster. They lost to Benfica very badly. Also, let's don't forget that sometimes in some grounds they've been lucky in La Liga, especially at San Mamés, for example, this season. And, in the weekend they beat Las Palmas, fine, 2-0. But I still believe that Atletico de Madrid suffer when they have to impose any type of football. And Paris Saint-Germain, is going to give Atletico de Madrid an alibi not to keep the possession or not to try to play the ball and to be dominant, because Paris is going to dominate the game, and Atletico is going to feel kind of comfortable with that. It could be a cagey game in which Atletico defends and then Paris in the second half starts creating more chances, a little bit like the game against Girona for Paris Saint-Germain. I think that this is a possibility, but Atletico's defense is not perfect. In La Liga it's been okay, but not in the Champions League. And when it comes to Paris, as I said before, maybe they are missing a superstar right now, but I still believe that they can be a better side than Atletico. So I'm going to back them to win 183, otherwise under 3 goals, because I think that this game could be slightly cagey. Pays 155, but the money is not good enough for me, so Paris to win 183.
You also think PSG are better than Atlético de Madrid, Alain?
To move the ball, yes. Without doubt. Right now, Paris Saint-Germain champions is not the best season of Paris Saint-Germain champions. They miss a lot of this, especially without the ball in transition. The counter attack, they suffer a lot. They concede. They had always the same problem with Ligue 1. How many games in Ligue 1 can prepare the team for the champions is not a lot. And in Ligue 1 we saw some limit in the analysis of how many occasions they concede to the game. In the synopsis of the game, Paris Saint-Germain will have the possession of the ball. Atletico Madrid doesn't have that strong defense typical of Simeone team, but Atletico Madrid feel more comfortable when they can attack the space. And in Paris, there will be found space. And for that reason, I think Paris Saint-Germain will be scored, but Atletico too, and I choose both teams to score odds 1.78.
Well, Atletico right now are out of the next round, and PSG is in the playoffs, but both have started really poorly this Champions League. Next game is Red Star Barcelona. Barcelona with 6 points, one of the best teams in the continent right now. They are absolutely on fire, scoring plenty of goals in every single competition. They won the derby on Sunday. They even could rest in the second half after scoring 3 in the first, with Dani Olmo back and scoring a very important player for Flick as well. And the odds to back Barcelona are so low, Alain, only 1.2, that I don't know where to look for value in this game.
But probably is the team with the biggest difference between both teams for that journey for Wednesday night. Now, in Estrella Roja, what is the risk for Barcelona? The ambient, because in the field, I think Red Star is really, really far with Barcelona. Barcelona right now, in my opinion, is top 3 in Europe. How Flick changed the things. We can start to thinking Xavi was bad or Flick is very good.
Both.
Because it's pretty similar team, eh? Barcelona doesn't make a strong mercato, eh? And that one, I think he found verticality. He found verticality. He recovered the best version about some player, especially Lewandowski and Rafinha in the attack line. He found a solution in the midfield. Pedri, I think, is the Pedri before the Euro 2021, and it was a brilliant player. Casado sent a message. Barcelona must to count with Masia. Masia is the key of Barcelona. The biggest team of Barcelona, always we had 5, 6, 7 player of the Masia, and that one is the key to recover. To win title and to be dominant. And from the beginning of the season, I see a dominant team. Now the risk of in Belgrade, I don't see some risk. Barcelona will be win this game, and we will be show goals because Red Star concede a lot of goals. Barcelona winning over 2.5 goals, also 1.150.
Well, the small Maracana, hell in Belgrade, but at the end of the day, Alvaro, this is 11 against 11, and Barcelona should win comfortably here.
They should. On the other hand, Barcelona's stint in the Champions League hasn't been perfect because they lost to Monaco. So I think that Barcelona will consider this game as an opportunity to get 3 more points and record 9 out of 12, which could be a good booty. And I do believe that Barcelona, if they win on Wednesday, they will correct a situation that started badly by losing to Monaco in the game in which Eric Garcia was sent off. Just very quickly on Alain Valnegri just left that hanging, and I'm more than happy to take from there to take the relay. I mean, Xavi and Hansi Flick. I mean, Xavi was the manager who wanted Sergi Roberto to extend his contract. Sergi Roberto now plays for Como. Xavi was the manager that wanted Christensen to be the holding midfield in February and March last season. Xavi is the manager who made a strong case for Dembélé to stay. Xavi was the manager who wanted 𝐬𝐭𝐴NCelo and also João Félix at Barcelona. Where are those geezers now? I'm sorry to express myself like this, but where are those guys now? João Félix doesn't play for Chelsea. 𝐬𝐭𝐴NCelo, I don't even know where he plays now. Xavi was that man. And Hansi Flick has instilled a very positive mentality to Barcelona that affects everyone. Rafinha, for example, 4 goals in the Champions League. 𝐿𝐵 is a footballer that plays football really well. And he's a short holding midfielder, but he's very combative, very pugnacious. He passes the ball very well. And for me, he's the outstanding breakthrough player of the year. And then Barcelona is playing with a high line that is working. One thing I want to say, I want to share this thought with Alain, is that Barcelona has caught the opponents in La Liga 90 times offside, which is a European record so far. Okay? I wonder if when the new players like De Jong, Fermín, Gavi, Araujo, Christensen start playing more often because they are back from the injury, if they will be able to keep the level of focus that the 11 players that we all know have had. I think that when Barcelona starts rotating, there will be a little bit of a disadjustment as well, because it's very difficult to play like this, and the 11 or 12 players of Barcelona that have been playing every minute know how to play the high line. But I wonder if De Jong, Gavi, Araujo, Christensen, maybe they will take some time to adjust, and Barcelona may start making mistakes with the offside line. Alain.
Yeah. Yes, no, but the mentality change, and I think the condition, the physical condition. I see a team with more reaction, with more capacity to go to a high pressure, because people saw the Clásico, they play with the defensive line really, really high to go to search the another team, and that one is a key concept about the history of Barcelona, the last 40 years, besides 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐻 Cruyff. And I think Flick touched the right things, and right now it's difficult to see a team with a best form. Include City is not in a very good form. Barcelona is better right now, and in Belgrade I see a clear victory of Blaugrana.
So for that reason, me too. I'm going to go for Barcelona to score in both halves, 163. I could top it up, and really, this time I think that I'm ready to do this. Barcelona to win both halves, 220. You know, I know that Red Star, in the weekend, they beat Vojvodina. Then they have scored locally 43 goals in 13 games, which is, again, a really good scoring record locally in Serbia. But they lost 5-1 to Monaco, for example, and the truth is that in the Champions League they have struggled. So I'm going to back Barcelona, yes.
Well, the lowest odds of this day, actually, Barcelona to win, even in this week in the Champions League, together with Dortmund to win, to beat Stuttgart. Both are the lowest odds that we have in this match day. So, super favorites. 2 more games, Sparta Prague, Brest. Next game, this is a bit for... expert experts of football like you are, guys, but both are surprising us in this Champions League. Actually, Sparta Prague with 4 points, even if they are 10 points away from the leaders in the Czech league in crisis in the domestic competition with 4 defeats in the last 5 games. But as I said, they beat Salzburg, they drew with Stuttgart, okay, they lost 5-0 to Man City, and Brest, 7 points also. Alvaro, one of the best teams in this Champions League, although we have to take in consideration that none of these teams had played with European royalty except Man City, and also Brest played against Leverkusen, we must say.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, playing against Leverkusen, of course, it's not European royalty, but it's not easy. And Brest managed to get a draw against the Bundesliga holders. And, you know, at least Brest showed that they are not impressed about having in front of them like a strong opposition and, you know, superstars and very good footballers. So, you know, I think that what Brest is doing is very impressive, but Sparta Prague as well. I mean, if you look at the numbers of Sparta Prague this season, they have played difficult games in the Champions League too, because they beat Salzburg, yes, and I think that they got a very impressive draw away that right now, against Stuttgart as well. So, you know, this is a team that is competing too. That's why this is a little bit the game of the underdogs, the game of the sides that are perhaps excelling a little bit the expectations. And I like the odds for Sparta Prague. Don't ask me why, but I'm going to back them here, you know, with a little bit of a pinch of salt, of course. But a draw no bet for Sparta Prague, 173, is something that I will appreciate. Yeah, I'm more than happy to stay there. But of course, I'm not going to keep this game for my ACCA because I feel that there are more certainties in some other European venues.
Well, Alain, in our league and shows, you were taking with a pinch of salt this Brest overperforming in Europe.
Is overperformed clearly because in Liga we saw a difficult beginning of the season for Brest, but manage the both competition when you are Brest is difficult, and I think that they do really well. Now the schedule was comfortable except the game against Bayer Leverkusen, but Bayer Leverkusen is the classical team. Brest feel really comfortable. Brest feel uncomfortable when they wanna manage and dominate the ball. And against Sparta Prague have injured player can be changed the synopsis of the game because Birmancevic, Araslin, they're the best two forward that have in the squad. Preciado for the wing, he was a dominant player. Tucci in the midfield maybe will be play. We are playing about speaking about 4th player, key player for Sparta Prague. Now Brest arrive relaxed because they're doing very well from the beginning of the season. I think Sparta Prague is more polyvalent because they can change the register of the game. Brest is a direct team that play that type of football. When we check the beginning of the season, Sparta Prague, when they played at home, they play always they start really strong. In every first half, they score goals. In the only games that doesn't score was against Malmo in the first half, but 2 penalty was missed during the first half, and for that reason I choose over 1.25 goals in the first half, odds 2.34.
All right, and the last game is an interesting one. Stuttgart, Atalanta. What great odds to back Atalanta. Atalanta to win is over 3. The 𝐿ADEA is absolutely on fire in Serie A. 5 consecutive wins, beating Napoli 3-0. If you haven't checked that game, they were clinical, especially Ademola Lookman, the hero of Dublin, scoring a brace. Also with good points, I would say, in the Champions League, 5 points, although we expected them to beat Celtic in the last home game. And Stuttgart, Alain, they were super lucky to grab a draw against Leverkusen. Leverkusen had so many chances, and they are suffering in the Bundesliga, although they won against Juve in Torino, and that's never easy.
Yes, but I think the best version of Stuttgart we saw in Champions League and against Dortmund in Bundesliga. In Madrid, they do a very good game in Bernabeu. After we saw a Stuttgart in Leverkusen is always difficult to catch point. In Juventus Stadium, they dominate the game. Stuttgart is a very interesting project. They're working with the data, and they lose important player go to Dortmund the last summer. But I don't saw the team is weak like the last season. I think it's a good test for Stuttgart in the sense of Atalanta is an anarchical team. Atalanta is the team of everybody. In the sense of Atalanta, when do you see playing Atalanta is like we play in the park with the friends when we was child, because Atalanta wanna score. No, Atalanta doesn't calculate nothing. I think that when in Europe can give you good results, and Atalanta is clinical because in Napoli, Atalanta have 3 shots in the target. Napoli 3 shots in the target, 3 shots in the target, 3 goals with 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 like the Europa League final version. Interesting game. I think we will see goals, and 1x2 is difficult to predict, but when we check the statistic about the corner, we saw team arrive over the 9 corner with really high frequently, and I choose over 8.5 corner odds 1.67.
Well, this is the classic game where everyone would look at the goals market. Both teams to score is 1.5. We have to go for over 3 to find the decent odds, 1.77. But then, Alvaro, we also expected many goals in Atalanta Celtic and was a goalless draw. And Atalanta actually in this Champions League, only 3 goals scored and no goals conceded. So they are not a high scoring team in Europe.
In Europe. But a little bit same thing happens to Stuttgart, because if you check their numbers, they have scored 3 goals, they have conceded 4. But we know that in their own leagues, Stuttgart and Atalanta produce high-scoring games. And what is it more reliable, or what is it a better sample size? What happens in 10 games in their local league, or what has happened in 3 games in the Champions League? Probably the reality. You have to check the calendar year, and Stuttgart and Atalanta, both sides, are the kind of sides that, if you ask me, they are an over rather than an under when it comes to goals. And, I think that here we may have a good chance to back Atalanta. Very impressive win against Napoli with Matteo Retegui staying on the bench. So Gasperini making decisions, putting up front the 𝐿𝐴, a footballer that when he played for Milan, I thought that he was a softie. I thought that he was never going to be a very good footballer. But, he is now, and he even provided an assist heading the ball for Ademola Lookman in the first goal of Atalanta, then another assist for the for Ademola Lookman, the former Everton footballer, and I think that Atalanta can win it. So I'm going to back Atalanta to win this game because I think that the value is very good. Of course, you can decaf it with a minus 0.25s and all that, but I do believe that Atalanta, after the display against Napoli, they have made me think that this is a side that are going to stay very dangerous for an extra year. So Atalanta to win 288.
Gasperini is a genius. What a project he is doing with Atalanta, even if every summer they change the whole squad. Thank you, Alain. Thank you, Alvaro, for all your tips. Just remember that you can participate in our tipster competition, open to everyone now in the new month. You can start participating in our monthly competition for November, and also that we are on Discord, another channel for you. Well, Alvaro, we had a bumpy or a strange weekend in Spain, a very sad weekend with all the games postponed with the tragedy of Valencia, but 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐴 was correct, by the way, apart from the game with Villarreal. So let's try another one first with your safe bet.
It will be Barcelona to win the second half, 150.
Alain, your safe bet?
Barcelona winning 1.20.
Okay, similar. And Alain, your ACCA?
Feyenoord winning, Inter Arsenal over 1.75 goals, Sparta Prague Brest over 0.75 goals in the first half for a total 3.56.
Okay, risky that over in the Inter Arsenal. You expect goals.
It's high. The odds are high. Yeah.
Very high. Yeah. In San Siro, Álvaro, your ACCA?
It will be a double chance, 1x for Inter. Paris Saint-Germain to win, Asian handicap minus 1.5 for Barcelona. Altogether 4-16.
Okay, great games on Wednesday. Thank you, Alain. Thank you, Álvaro. Thanks everyone for watching. Bye bye.
Thank you.